Hey, this is Rob with AMI. So I wanted to go over some Stitch3D Basics. First, we'll start with the mouse functions. So if we click and hold the left mouse button, we can rotate the point cloud in 3D. If we scroll with the middle mouse button away from us, it zooms in, and then back towards us, zooms out. If we click and hold the right mouse button, we can slide this horizontally. So whenever we're investigating something, you use a combination of all three. So if we want to look at this object over here, you can keep the mouse button on it and scroll towards it, and it generally gets it, close within frame. But then we can use the right mouse button, click and hold to slide. Now it's back into the center. We can zoom in a little more, and then left click and hold. We can rotate in 3D and kind of see what sort of an object we have there. Oftentimes you might go past the data set and then, I don't know, look for it. Now you're upside down and you can get lost pretty easily. So the easiest thing to do if you want to start over is click this button. It brings you back into the bird's eye view, and then you can start over. Some of these attributes, if we're in the layers tab with ground classified selected, we can look at the different attributes. Currently we have the RGB values, so these are the real colors that were collected and assigned to each point during the flight. You have intensity here, so this shows you the intensity of the return from the LiDAR pulse. So it's shooting light at the ground, it hits something, bounces back, and this shows you the intensity of every single point. You may not use this too much, but one very helpful feature would be looking at the data set by change in elevation. And so we have our elevation range. So this shows the minimum and maximum elevations across the property. And then you can colorize this, essentially based on that. As you can see, some of the orange will be the taller trees. So they're somewhere, in there is the highest value at 175 feet. And then down in this creek area, there'll be some purples, deep blues that will be around 78 feet. You have different, gradients here. You can click through. So now I'm going to go back. I'm going to go over to the classification. So what the software has done is it's isolated the high points and the ground. So everything sticking up above the ground has never been classified, and that's represented by this gray color. And then all of the ground points are going to be this orange color. So we can turn off all of the never classified and just look at the ground. And then a really cool way to view the ground is if we come back to the elevation, we can remove essentially the heights of the tree. So we can slide this down and just look at an elevation range across the elevations on the ground. And so this really gives us an idea of what's happening underneath the trees, right? So this is a really good way. I'm going to go back to classification, turn it back on, and then go back to RGB. So you also have the ability to use some of these basic tools. So you can come in and you can place a point on the ground. So that's this first one. It'll give you the X, Y, and Z information of that point. So it'll give you the elevation on the ground and its horizontal positioning. So we'll go over some of the distance and area measurements. If you come into the view angle and switch to a top-down view, this is my preferred way to make some, basic measurements. So we can select the distance measurement, and if we want to measure, say, this length of fence, you can zoom in and get an approximate location of the fence post. So I left click to start the line, and then we'll come down using the right mouse button, click and hold with this measurement tool selected, and then zoom back in. Now, if I want to end the line, I right click. If I want to place a point here and then continue measuring this way up the line, I would left click. But for now, I'm just going to end the line, so I'm going to right click, and we can zoom back out. Here's our line. That's the distance. The distance it gives you here is the 3D distance. So I typically would go with the 2D distance because I could have clicked points on this line at different elevations. So maybe one point at the bottom of the fence, another point at the top of the fence. So if you want to make any distance measurements, I would go with the 2D. measurement here. And let's go over, well, so now if we want to do the area, so if we want to calculate the area of the fenced in area, we can see, you know, the fence kind of sneaks in and then it goes behind these trees. We can't really see what's going on. So one thing I'll do is I'll come back to the layers, ground classification, go back to my classification, and I'm going to turn off the never classified. And now we can come in and look at the ground points, but you'll also see some difference in intensity and things like that where the fence is. So you can kind of see that there's a straight line here, and that ties into our fence post there, and vice versa. You can see that straight line. So if we select our area, I like to start the area measurement where it's most predictable, right? Or it's easiest to see. So that's this line here. So we can come down, we can look at where this fence meets the fence post, select a point with the left click, come back up, and now we're gonna measure the area. So I'm gonna come back up to my other reliable measurement, left click, and then I'm gonna drag this down. And as you can see, that's the fence there. And so it comes over, and what we have to do is we have to look for the fence coming back up this way. So it looks like it goes to about here. And if I left click and drag, we can look at this line and this line. So we'll make this line come out, and then you kind of eyeball the other side. So this can take you a couple of times to do it, but as we zoom in, so the fence post is under a tree, so we didn't get a whole lot of points under this tree. But what we can do is we can line up the fence coming down this way with this one, and that's the approximate fence corner, right? So I want to end the area measurement. I'm going to right click, and then it gives us our area, 52,783 square feet. The perimeter, the total perimeter length, about 920 feet. And we have 4 points on that perimeter. If you zoom out, you can also see that it gives you the measurement and then the lengths of each side. If you want to name this, you can name this fence area. And then the other line that we drew here, that's this other annotation. We can right click, rename, you know, outside or east fence line, right? So if we send you the editor link, you'll be able to make these annotations and they remain in the project. But yeah, this is just some of the basics we wanted to go over. If you guys have any questions on this, don't hesitate to reach out. We can set up a Microsoft Teams meeting, and you know, we can go over a few things. All right, thanks for your time.